Welcome into the recruiting chat for Saturday, May 4th. I'm Trevor Andershock, and once again, Jeff Rabjohns is down in Birmingham, Alabama, watching the Adidas 3 SSB circuit. What kind of transpired down there today, Rabbi?
Well, something that would probably qualify as not breaking news. Braylon Mullins is once again good from three-point range. I know people who have been reading Peegs.com for, well, a while now are not shocked by that, but he had another good game. He was 5 for 7 from three in Indiana Elite's second game of the day, led them to a mercy rule win over Game Point out of California. And just he did a really good job. You know, he was really smooth and quick in how he cut, where he cut, and it was just another chance to watch. You know, the quick release and just his understanding of how to hunt threes and make them. And he looked again, he looked confident, he looked quick, he loved the release. So it was another good game for him. Um, Trent Sisley didn't have like big numbers today, but you know he played pretty well again for Indiana Elite. You know, rebounded, hit the shots he should make. He's really developing a really nice baseline game. He's starting to get the ability to, you know, turn his back to a defender, give the bump, and then you know kind of like that little one-legged fadeaway, which with his height 6'8" or so, you know, clears some pretty good space. I thought he had some really nice moves. Again, not overwhelming numbers, but he played really well. And Malachi Moreno again was really good. You know, scored in double figures in one game. In the second game, they didn't really need him to score a ton. He only played 23 minutes. I think they were kind of saving legs for they got a Sunday morning game. But his ability to rebound, block shots was again evident in tonight's game, or in Saturday night's game. He had three block shots. He had a couple others where he really adjusted, made people adjust and kind of miss badly. So certainly he's really improving. And I think another thing, like we talked about before with Malachi Moreno, you know, the footwork's getting really good. I mean, he's really taken some strides there, and he's really understanding balance, how to turn over both shoulders. He had a really good game. And Indiana Elite remains unbeaten on the Adidas circuit with multiple mercy rule games. They're certainly one of the best teams on the circuit. You know, Mark Zachary, the football stud from Ben Davis, is now playing point guard for them. They've got Luke Ertl, they've got Kellen Pickett. You know, two other guys who are very very helpful players. So they've got a really nice team, and they're playing incredibly well. They share the ball. They're fun to watch. So that was certainly one of the highlights from Saturday for me for full games that I got to sit and watch. Also had a chance to sit and watch another full game of Mel Brown, the 2025 point guard who has played this past season in Overtime Elite down in Atlanta, a guy Indiana's been to see multiple times. He didn't have his best shooting night. He was 2 for 10 from three. But the things that stand out is he's just got such incredible vision, ball delivery, ball control, body control at speed. You know, some point guards just can't play fast. Mel Brown can play incredibly fast and look smooth and look totally in control. His ability to kind of do a little stop and go is really coming on. And I was really impressed by his ability to consistently get defenders off balance. He's just so good at that because he'll just get a little bit of lean and then go, or with that stop and go, he'll get a defender coming at him and then he's around him. He had 6 assists in his game. Played all 32 minutes, and he would have even been more assists. There were several times, you know, he created the pass. You know, teammate shot just didn't go in, which certainly happens. But 6 assists is a good number, and it easily could have been 9. So another really, really good game for Mel Brown. That was really good. So those are probably among the standouts. Got a chance to watch Anthony Thompson again from Indiana Elite's 16U team, the 2026 prospect who's only 15 years old. You know, he's really coming along. He's certainly looking like one of the 26 class of 2026 players who's kind of really, you know, emerging this spring. He's one of the spring risers. You know, he didn't have a monster scoring game well, in the game that I had a chance to sit and watch the full game, but you can still see it, 6'7" or so with that wingspan, that nice left-handed release. He had a couple moves inside where he finished with the right hand, which obviously, for young guys, if you have anything going with your offhand, that's pretty good. So I thought Anthony Thompson was pretty good again today. So overall, those are probably kind of like the main keys for me from Saturday down here in Birmingham.
I kind of wanted to go back to your very first point about Braylon Mullins. Obviously, playing unbelievable this spring, and shooting is really the catalyst to that. Going back a year or so, where the high major interest and offers really started to pick up, it wasn't really his shooting that got those offers and stuff. It was his athleticism, his size, his defense activity. Now just throwing, it looks like he's going to be an elite shooter on top of that. That's where you start talking about a top 40 kid in the country. Like I think he's been playing so far this spring.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, you and I have talked about that, and I think you even mentioned that on the board that up there in Council Bluffs, I think you said somewhere around he looked like a top 40 player. I can't remember exactly what you wrote. But you said something like that, top 40, top 50. But he's
Yeah.
definitely playing like that. He's 6'5". He has really good size. He really understands how to play. He's very active defensively, positions himself really well defensively. He's not like some uber athlete where it's just about quickness or just about burst or just about ability to, fly above the rim. But there's so many things he does really well. And he also passes the ball really quickly. Like the ball doesn't stick in his hands. With some guys who are shooters, sometimes they'll over dribble or they'll kind of dance with the dribble a little bit. And it's like, dude, do something. Drive it, shoot it, pass it. And with Mullins, the ball doesn't stick, And then if he comes around a screen where he's supposed to shoot, I mean, it is catch it, shoot it. It's he understands if he has the opening, and he doesn't need a lot of space either. He hit 2 threes tonight where the guy was kind of coming around the screen and almost like right on his shoulder. The ball's coming from the right side, and he just catches it and goes up, and he's releasing the ball as the defender's sort of like coming across his vision, and he hit both of those. So yeah, I think he's certainly. I mean, Braylon Mullins is one of the risers of the spring. I don't think there's any question about that. And if he keeps playing like this, top 50 player in the country is not crazy. Not saying he's definitely going to be there. These are 2 weekends. It's got to continue. But the way he played in Council Bluffs, the way he's played the first 2 days here in Birmingham, I don't think talking about him like a potential top 50 player in the country is crazy. I really don't.
Yeah. To your point, I think his shooting's made a big step in the last year, and the on the move shooting is where the step has really been taken. Like you're saying, he's coming off, either rotating or off screens, catching and shooting so quickly, accurately. You just don't see that very often from a high school kid. And I think that's what's really adding to Mullen's game and, his overall reputation across the country right now. Heading over to the EYBL, saw Trey McKenna, Darius Adams, and the family today against Team Hero out of Wisconsin. Just an unbelievable offensive expedition. Can't say that word right now, so skip over that one, Rabbi. But uh, Team Hero scored more than I think 1.5 points per possession for the whole game. I think
Wow.
they finished with like 104 somewhere in that range and only 70 possessions. So just shot the ball unbelievable from the outside, got whatever they wanted inside against the family. And you're talking about a talented team. You have two guards like Darius Adams and Trey McKenna. You shouldn't be able to put up points like that, and you shouldn't be able to win in a landslide very often. But hats off to Zach Kinzinger going to Wisconsin. He had a great game. Xavier Mitchell going to Iowa State. He was a really good inside outside threat. I think he's around 6'7", and he actually guarded Trey McKenna in the first half pretty well. So showed his lateral quickness. Not the best athlete in the world, but has good size, um, some muscle on his frame, stuff like that. So skilled, size, athleticism. He played really well. Miles Hero, obviously Tyler Hero's brother. I think he had 9 assists. So it just kind of showed off how well Team Hero played against the family. Trey McKenna did put up really good stats. I think he finished with 23 points, shot it pretty well. Highly efficient game, but most of those points, or a good chunk of those points, came when the family really had no chance to win. Team Hero had kind of let off the gas defensively, so he was able to get some things pretty easily. So a pretty good performance individually for Trey McKinney, but not much else helped out. Darius Adams had a rough game. I think he either had 5 fouls or fouled out, went like 8 of 19 from the field, somewhere in that range. So not your prototypical game from those two today, but really just had to give Team Hero all the credit on that one, Rabbi.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And then obviously saw Indy Heat again. Always like to see them. Jalen Harrelson, obviously the main attraction there. Pretty quiet game overall for Jalen. They got down pretty big early, 18 points, 20 points in the first half to Georgia Stars. The former IU target, Jacob Wilkins, Dominique Wilkins' son, just went off the first half, 15 points. Indy Heat started playing better. Jeremiah Fears, the Illinois commit, got going to the basket in the second half. Brady Kaler had some good plays, good stretches to get Indy Heat back in the game. Got it to a 3-point game. Then Wilkins hit a three. I think Indy Heat might have turned it over, kind of opened it back up. Indy Heat made one more run, got it back to I think 4 or 5, and Georgia Stars again held off that push. So decent performance from Jalen. Not a big scoring output, but I think he had 4 assists, 4 or 5 assists, rebounded pretty well, especially on the offensive end. Like we've been saying, he's been really focusing on hitting the glass here this spring, and saw it again today, especially on the offensive end where he's going in traffic, against bigger guys and coming down with the ball. So just showing off his complete game there, Rabbi.
Gotcha. Gotcha. A couple other guys I got to see on the Adidas circuit. Nate Ament, 6'9", 2025 forward from Virginia, national top 20 type player. A couple of things about him. Kind of the news thing first, which I'm sure people have already read the story, but Nate tells Peegs.com that he is planning to visit Indiana. Said dates aren't set, but they're working on figuring out if it's going to be spring or later. But sooner rather than later is at least possible. Again, dates aren't set, but Nate Ament, national top 20, 2025 prospect, tells Peegs.com he does plan to visit Indiana. And that's a kid that Indiana's been, involved with for a little while. He's an interesting player. He's about 6'9", taller, thinner guy, quicker guy. Even though he's 6'9", he plays more like a wing. He's, a face-up guy, can handle the ball, can step out, can make some shots. I think it was, let me double check here as I take a look. Yeah, 3 for 7 from three. So again, I think sometimes people see guys 6'8", 6'9" or taller, they assume interior players. That's not the case with Nate Ament. He's a big wing, 3 for 7 from three, can make plays off the dribble, got to the line, went 6 for 6 from the free throw line, scored 19 points in 24 minutes. So he's got a lot of ability out there on the wing, a bigger guy, a guy who, he has really nice form on that jump shot. He gets it up here, shoots it above the eyebrows. And with his height, that's really hard for perimeter players to even have a chance to really challenge, much less even threaten in any way. Can run the floor really well. I think people probably saw the Twitter highlight where he takes off on the break, catches a pass, a little bit past half court, one dribble, and just big right hand hammer, holds it out there and bangs it. So he's really good on the break. He really understands how to run the floor, finishes very well on the break. Part of the reason is because he can elevate incredibly well. So it's very difficult for people who aren't his size or don't have his length or leaping ability to get up above the rim and challenge him. But he had a really good game when I had a chance to watch him today. And again, he's a guy who says he's planning to visit Indiana. So that's another 2025 prospect for Indiana fans to pay attention to as we move through the spring and then into the summer.
Yeah, when I talked to him in April of 2023, I asked him, what position do you see yourself as? What are you? And he said flat out, I'm a guard. So definitely do not put him in the mold of a post player there. Um, Another good game, Nike EYBL, PSA Cardinals against Team Final. Obviously, two of the real mainstays at the top of the EYBL over the years. Came down to the wire, and Team Final pulled it out by three. A pretty solid game from Darius Adams. The shooter, he goes to Lalamere now. IU was, involved with him even before that, but have really taken the step up with him and trying to lock him down in 2025. But much like Braylon Mullins, Darius Adams is a guy who really shoots well off the move. Can
Hmm.
put the ball on the floor a little bit. Not quite as big or as strong as Braylon at this point, but pretty similar games and two high level shooters. And we saw more of that today from Darius Adams, even in a tight loss to team final.
Yeah, I like Darius Adams' game a lot. When you and I were down in Memphis, I think one of the games we watched, he went 6 for 10 from three in a pretty competitive game. So he was hitting meaningful shots, with game pressure on, with the score reasonably close. And he's certainly a guy who's really, really capable. Like you said, now plays up at Lalamere, plays really good competition on the EYBL Scholastic circuit. So, Braylon Mullins, Darius Adams, those are the kind of guys. Trey McKenna, even though McKinney's a little much, he's bigger guy. He's got almost got like linebacker build, with those shoulders and that strength.
Yeah.
But Indiana's definitely got some options there as far as guys who can make threes. So that's kind of an interesting storyline to watch. Um, Another guy I got to see today is a guy you and I have seen a number of times, Jonathan Sanderson, a class of 2026 point guard, currently like a national top 60 type player. Plays for Midwest Basketball Club, which I think Indiana people are very familiar with. That's, Gabe Cupps' former team, coached by Gabe Cupps' dad, Brooke Cupps, Centerville High School coach. And Sanderson, his dad was the strength coach at Michigan previously. I think everybody knows the situation there, the Juwan Howard and all that stuff. His dad's now the strength coach at Vanderbilt. But talking to the family, they say the recruitment's very open. They say this is not he has to follow dad where dad is employed. It's about finding the best spot for Jonathan Sanderson. And he's certainly a talented point guard. 2026 class, so little ways to go there. But he's another of the young point guards that Indiana's taking a look at. He's visited campus. He's been to Bloomington. So it was good to see Jonathan Sanderson once again.
Yeah. The thing about Sanderson that really sticks out to me is his leadership. You would kind of expect that from being the son of a strength coach. He's going to take charge, going to be vocal, playing up a year at the 17U level, and he's still one of the most vocal guys on that Midwest Basketball Club team. So I think that's the biggest thing. Obviously, very skilled, can shoot it, can handle, can get to the basket, but really like his leadership and going forward. Obviously, that's been a big thing for IU, kind of missing over the last couple of years. I think they kind of fixed that hole going into this upcoming season, but Sanderson would be another guy to really help your leadership and get the program on the right track. Obviously, like you said, 2026 is still pretty far away, especially in the transfer era here, Rabbi.
Sure, sure. Yeah, but he is one of those guys you definitely look at.
Yeah, no doubt. It's kind of interesting. Adidas 3SSB, most of the 17U teams are playing 5 games this weekend over the course of 3 games. EYBL's gone to the 3 games a weekend. Kind of interesting the difference here, Rabbi. Any thoughts on that? Obviously, you get to see when you play 5 games a weekend, you get to see guys more. On the flip side, EYBL, you're only playing 1 game a day, so they're always fresh. What are your kind of thoughts on this difference in scheduling here?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have any like really strong opinions either way. Um,
Yeah,
I think 5 is the max I would play in 3 days. Those
and
old.
allowable max. So.
Oh yeah, yeah, allowable max. But you and I both remember the crazy old days when
Oh
guys
yeah,
would, yeah, you could play. I think there were times when some of those events that started on Thursday and ran through Sunday you would have a complete pool play, and then you would start like around the round of 16. So you could play a round of
No, even
16.
more than that. Back in the day, there were no everybody in the whole tournament was in one huge bracket.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
So you could play 6 or 7 games if you're getting to the title game after pool play.
Right. Or you could
That's
play
what
six or
everybody
seven.
thinks of when you're playing, saying, "Hey, you're playing way too many games." Those were the, late '90s, early 2000s of playing 8 or 9 games on a weekend. There is a 5 game max now, so
Yeah, which is good. Which is
yeah.
good. 5 games is plenty. But yeah, those old days, the whole bracket, if you went to the championship, it could be 8, maybe 9. Or if you played your pool and then you went in the losers bracket, but then kept winning in the losers bracket, you could play a crazy amount. I mean, it would get nuts.
Yeah,
You and I both remember times where like people like, okay, we both made the title game. Our guys have played 8 games. You want to split it? Okay, we'll split it. Because
yeah,
kids were just gassed. So
yeah,
I don't think 5 is bad. I don't, 3 is fine, 4 is fine, 5 is fine. I don't think it's really a big deal either way because the way Adidas is doing it, it's most teams arrive on Thursday. They play 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, so they can head home Sunday evening. So I don't think it's too bad.
yeah. All right, that's all I've got. If you have any last words here, Rabbi.
No, that's really all I got. Looking forward to tomorrow. Another game for Braylon Mullins, uh, Trent Sisley, Malachi Moreno and Company. Another game of Nate Ament. Going to get to see Manny Green, the 2026 prospect from the Atlanta Celtics that I use offered. Going to get to see Mel Brown again. So it should be a good Sunday morning, Sunday early afternoon tomorrow.
Yeah, this just popped in my head. I didn't get to see the game, but Tyron Stokes and AJ Debansa had both huge games for Oakland Soldiers today. Obviously, IU's been in the mix for Stokes for a long time, but he's still a 2026 guy. So hopefully see them tomorrow. But we'll have all the coverage on Peegs.com. Rabbi is still in Birmingham, Alabama. I will be watching the Nike EYBL through Sunday, and then we'll have more on Peegs.com throughout the week. For Jeff Rabjohns, I'm Trevor Andershock. Thanks for joining us.